Put It Bluntly, the show where the Canna-Curious go for straight talk on cannabis. On this podcast, cannabis and sex.
So sex and weed go together like peanut butter and chocolate, but who wants to get so high that they fall asleep on their partner's lap? And I'm not admitting to anything. Today on our panel, we have a lovely respective group who's going to get into that verbal action, so to speak, just the verbal part. And then we've got with us the owner and founder of SexPot and also Paradigm Cannabis Group, and that would be our friend Karyn Wagner.
Oh,
welcome,
thank you.
Karyn. Tell us, what do we have?
Okay. I created SexPot because women have a true problem with female libido. It is a known medical problem, and very, very few, if not any, I mean, the FDA pharmaceutical companies keep trying to come up with something that will help with female libido. But guess what? It's a really difficult thing. Women are so very different, and they don't respond to cannabis in the same way that men do. Men do fine with a high THC cannabis, but women do not. That's when you fall asleep on your partner's lap.
Uh-huh. So you think that was the problem?
That was the problem.
So weed takes away our sex drive?
No, high THC weed takes away your sex drive. Okay. So if you have a lower THC, it acts as an actual stimulant to your estrogen receptor sites and actually puts you much more in the mood. Okay? It's very subtle, it's very calming, it's very quiet. It's not at all like the weed or cannabis that were kind of sold in many dispensaries. You know, the high THC weed is the big seller.
How did you discover this gold?
One night, after my partner and I had a particularly wonderful evening, I said, honey, put that aside. That was just perfect for me. That was just right. It was just absolutely right. And so he did. He put it in a little tiny bag, and not knowing what the name of the strain was, he wrote on the little bag, SexPot. Oh. And that's how SexPot came about. And so I went back and tried to find out, well, what was that strain that we had used? I found out it was a variation on Mr. Nice that one of our Humboldt growers had grown. Mr. Nice is not a common strain. Why? Because the THC is low. And so it's not normally found in a dispensary because they're all about, you know, high THC. So Mr. Nice was the strain. It's a variation on Mr. Nice.
It's all on me right now to get in the mood, right? And I like that. And I really do appreciate this because let me tell you, I did try it and it's awesome. But is there anything for men out there? Because, you know, let's put the onus on them as well.
Not that I know of.
Really?
In terms of cannabis, I really don't know of something that's for men. I mean, do men
What
really
are we
need
talking
this?
about?
Do really need this?
For men. Do we mean sex drive? Or are we talking about...
Well, staying power, sex drive, I don't know. I mean, you
hardness.
Well, there could be that too. We could
What
be
are we
talking about
talking
that
about?
too.
All
All right, let's bring this back.
That's right.
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
Woo, okay.
So SexPot has been a phenomenal success for women who are trying to just feel more sexy and not feel knocked out by the cannabis that they're smoking. So,
Okay, and I'm just going to go and say this because I think this is really true for women who are perimenopausal or menopausal. That's a real big issue with low drive. You don't know about that yet. Just stay tuned. But, you know, so that is a big issue, right? And then also, I think that we have really busy lives. And so what's interesting to me about this is how quickly it works, right? And I will say, though, the first time I tried it, I'm being honest about this, I actually did fall asleep. I did use too much because I didn't really get what I should do. So I would love some advice for people who are on-ramping to this. You know, what would you suggest?
Well, like many things that we've talked about with cannabis, everything is very individual, right? One person's sweet dose is another person's poison. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for that expression. And so, yeah, you have to kind of find your way with it. But always start with all things cannabis. Start small, and then work up.
Start low and go slow.
Yeah, there you go.
That's fitting
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
I get it.
So.
Okay.
Have you used it? Have you tried it? The SexPot? No, I haven't.
No, well, you can do. Everyone gets a sample tonight to take home.
So yeah, I
Time to
think.
go on Tinder.
Okay, so you're not so far out of the loop. Let's just say.
Wow, not on it yet.
Is it loosing your butthole?
Oh, God.
Because that's why Molly's my go-to sex drug. But What can we do for me?
I think that might be.
Is that the first time you had that question? We just went there.
Drugs are associated with being sex drugs for certain reasons, and I just want to find out.
I just missed that whole decade. I missed that whole decade. It's like, no.
Well, see, this is why we're here.
No.
I would say SexPot does not do that. It puts you in the mood. If you're primed for conversation, you're relaxed. It has relieved your stress, and you're just more relaxed and receptive to sex, as opposed to too tired because you're too high or anything.
So there
Now,
are.
this is the part I'm really excited
Well,
about.
okay, so there are lubes, right?
Lube.
There are lubes, and I just want to know, can your vagina get high? Because, I mean, there are lubes, so it has, cannabis in it. So what, right? Has anybody used any of this?
I use it on my elbows because my elbows are dry. I get samples all the time, so I don't know what to do with it.
All right.
But my elbows don't get high. They just are hydrated.
Well, I'm kind of curious about it. I mean, what are the properties of it, right? Do we know?
Let's try. Here, spray it on, honey.
I'll be leaving now.
I'm not so shy anymore. Huh?
Okay, we're on
Ophelia.
a date. We're on a date. Okay, get me ready.
I don't think it's meant for that kind of lube.
Well, come on.
Okay.
Oh, they put lube on penises too.
She's full. This one is full of surprises.
I've seen commercials where they say lubes for penises too.
All right, I'm gonna go there.
Okay, no, just spray it. Spray it. Come on, spray
Poor
it.
banana.
Come on. You're gonna have to do this later, anyways. Okay, now.
All right,
Okay,
I'm
rub
just-
it. Does it feel good?
Banana away from me.
Oh, actually, it's pretty
Away
lit.
from
Oh
the
my.
banana. Do not point that banana.
All right, I
away.
will tell you right now.
Can I keep it for my cereal
It's
tomorrow?
very try it. It's very
It has a lot of coconut oil in there.
yeah. It's slippery. It's slippery,
It
of
doesn't-
course, but it's like really thin.
But
It doesn't taste like anything.
Is
Taste
it
it.
Do you get high vaginally?
It doesn't taste like anything.
No, it has no flavor.
No.
Oh no,
I've heard from people
tastes like
I
cannabis.
know who use that.
It
I
does?
taste cannabis.
Yeah, a little bit aftertaste.
no.
Yeah.
And you're using this on your elbows?
It's just a natural
Yeah. Actually, because it says
alternative.
coconut oil.
Yeah, I mean, it might increase your
Yeah.
sensitivity.
So if you don't finish it, you can always use it as a moisturizer.
This feels so
Right.
wrong. I'm putting them down here.
Oh. Okay.
Unless you had more to do with that. You wanted to play with
Now
it.
we're playing
It's-
hide the banana.
No. It's tomorrow's cereal.
All right, so there are some other things to be concerned about, though. I did hear this, and maybe you can enlighten us a little bit. Some of these products, and you can, I hear, infuse your own, right? You can make your own products. Jane, I think you know a little bit about that from the consulting side.
A little bit.
Tell me about that, actually. What can you tell us about making your own?
Well, it's the same way that people make butter. You just infuse an oil with cannabis. You know, let it cook for a little while, and then you've got basically this. This is coconut oil, I believe, just coconut oil, right?
And THC oil.
And THC oil.
Yeah.
The challenge I heard, though, with some of these that you have to be really careful about is the fact that they can, they're not good with, with silicone, with condoms,
Absolutely, yeah. These are not safe to use with condoms.
So you should be aware of that
They will
in case
break
you're
down
considering-
latex, so.
Okay, so in that case, really, we're still in the very nascent stages of, that whole part of the industry, aren't we?
Right.
And so basically I'm hearing this, it's great, embrace it, and that it's wonderful to experiment, but do go in.
Do your homework.
Yeah, knowing what you're doing a little bit, or maybe find out along the way what you're doing.
Yeah. I think your hoo-ha would prefer the SexPot over the Foria. Because it's an all-body experience,
Yeah.
right? Once you get this going, everything else is kind of gets there.
Gets there.
Yes. Then you don't need the Foria. From what I've heard.
Yeah, no, it's kind of absorbing into my skin is what it's doing. That's why you're using it on your elbows when you get extra, right? That's so
Have a
funny.
nice sheen.
I know.
That was a lot of fun.
I've always loved introducing everyone to SexPot.
Yeah, I bet you do. Well, thank you very much, and until the next one, we'll be seeing you later. Thanks.
Bye.